Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video, we're going to break down 5 mistakes to avoid at this year's Halloween Horror Nights event. And Halloween Horror Nights is by far one of the most popular events here in Orlando, so having a solid game plan and having some tips and tricks is crucial for your night here in the park. So if you are planning to attend this year's Halloween Horror Nights, you're going to want to be sure to stick around to the end of this video, as hopefully we're going to help you save a little time, save a little money, and just be as prepared as possible for the event. I'm really excited for this video. Let's go get started. Okay, so tip number 5 of what to avoid at Halloween Horror Nights, and we would say don't show up without a game plan. Now, Halloween Horror Nights has 10 haunted houses, 5 scare zones, show, special themed food, and some of the most popular rides are even open during this amazing event. The park hours are going to be from around 6 p.m. till 1 or 2 a.m. depending on the night you visit. So as you can see, there is a ton going on, and you're really going to want to have a game plan coming into your day. So one of the best tips and tricks regarding having a game plan is know the park hours and know if you want to come early. Now, the Stay and Scream ticket is something that we love at the Park Prodigy, and specifically because it allows you to get into the park for a Halloween Horror Night event at 3 o'clock. Now, what that allows you to do, of course, just like it sounds, you have some extra hours before where you can go on some rides, but then also what we have found is when Halloween Horror Night starts at 6 o'clock, you can really get on 1 or 2 of the main haunted houses before guests are even in the park. So it's kind of like kind of like express pass for Halloween Horror Nights without paying for the full-blown express pass. Now, of course, you're only gonna get 1 or 2 houses, but I think the time before and the rides that you get on before make the Stay and Scream a great option for families who are looking to just get a little bit more out of their time in the parks. And hey, what if you plan to be at the parks all day? Well, hey, same thing, you'll have early entry. So what Universal Orlando does is they essentially have separate areas in the park. So when the park closes, between the time the park closes and the time that Halloween Horror Nights actually begins, guests can go into a waiting area, and then essentially just like it sounds, when you're in that waiting area, you will be in the park at exactly 6 o'clock when Halloween Horror Nights starts. So you'll have a little bit of a head start versus everyone else. Okay, so as you can see, we already started with a lot of what to avoid at Halloween Horror Nights, but moving on to number 4, and we would say, now that you have a game plan, definitely try and make sure that you give yourself, don't skip taking a break in the middle of the day. This is especially true if you did buy your tickets from the Park Prodigy, and if you are planning to go to the parks in the morning, especially with the early park admission, you have to think, early park admission starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, and like we just said, Halloween Horror Nights is gonna end at 1 or 2 o'clock at night. That is a long day. In my personal opinion, that's way too long to spend the entire day in the parks. What's going to happen later on Halloween Horror Nights, you're going to feel a little sluggish. So we just want you to have the best time possible. And we would say make sure that you plan a break in the middle of the day. You know, plan it from day one. Just make sure that you give yourself time to go back to the hotel, relax, you know, just be ready for Halloween Horror Nights. There's so much going on. We would also say, hey, even during the event, let's say you take a break and you're still feeling a little sluggish, you want to get the most out of it, go check out a show, maybe go break in a ride, right? Mix it up a bit, because you'll see the haunted houses, you're pretty much going to be on your feet, you're going to be waiting in line to get into the haunted house, and then you're walking through the haunted house. So just give yourself a little break. So tip and trick number 3 of things to avoid when visiting Halloween Horror Nights, and we would say make sure that you don't skip staying at a Universal Orlando hotel. Now, kind of tying into number 2 and really, you know, pulling in, you know, you'll want to take a break, right? There is nothing more convenient than coming back to a Universal Orlando hotel when you are in the Universal Orlando theme parks. Also, taking it one step further, you do get free transportation, and of course, for adults visiting Universal, we do want everyone to be responsible, and there's nothing better than free transportation after you've had a couple of adult beverages. Taking it one step further, we're actually over at Cabana Bay Beach Resort while I'm recording this video right now, and Cabana Bay actually has a specially themed Halloween Horror Nights event. Now, last year it didn't get great reviews, however, we also just want to make sure that we mention it, that is something that comes from being a Universal on-site resort guest. You get a little additional benefit just like that. And then tying into number 1, we would say that, you know, being on top of your game, having a game plan, getting into the parks as early as possible. Another cool thing that Universal actually announced this year for on-site Universal Orlando hotel guests visiting Halloween Horror Nights is that all on-site guests will get into Halloween Horror Nights through a special entrance to hopefully get you in a little bit quicker, get you to the fun a little bit quicker than, hey, some of the other guests that might not be staying at a Universal Orlando hotel. So as you can see, There are plenty of reasons to stay at Universal Orlando Hotel, and we think it's just another great way to take advantage of Halloween Horror Nights. Okay, so number 2 on the list of things to avoid when visiting Halloween Horror Nights, and we would say don't wait to buy your tickets or pick your tickets up. Now, there's a couple reasons why this is important. First, and maybe the most important, actually no, second most important, is there's gonna be long lines at the will call booths behind me if you do wait until close to the event to pick your tickets up. Now, if you are bundling your tickets with the Park Prodigy and you want to get those early park admission for the regular day in the park, you can of course pick your tickets up all together all at once at the morning of the day, which is what we recommend. If you're only coming for Halloween Horror Nights, hey, maybe plan a dinner or an early lunch before you come to the event, so you could pick your tickets up at City Walk, go grab dinner, early lunch, and then come and enjoy the Halloween Horror Nights event. But probably the most important on why you really need to make sure you buy in advance is Halloween Horror Nights can sell out. So if you show up the night of, you might not be able to get a ticket. Now, it's really important. Obviously, we want to make sure that you get into the event. So those are just some tips and tricks to make sure that you do buy your ticket in advance. Make sure you come pick it up a little bit earlier before the event starts, and you'll be ready to go. Okay, last but not least, don't forget, we did put a lot of emphasis on just game planning, making sure you come, making sure you take some breaks during the day so you could stay at Halloween Horror Nights, get the most out of your time in the parks. You are gonna get the most, and you're gonna get on the most haunted houses very early on in the day and then later at night. So obviously, if you stay a little bit later, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Most families just aren't gonna stay that late. So you'll get a ton of stuff done late at night, and you wanna make sure you make it till late at night. Same thing on the flip side, be prepared, get here early, get into the parks early, take advantage of the earlier hours, because again, most families might be running a little bit late, and you'll just have that much more of an edge on your time in Halloween Horror Nights. All right, so we're gonna rapid fire a couple of additional tips and tricks that we picked up for you when visiting Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. Tip number 1, and we would say, if you are only coming for one night, give some thought to the night that you're visiting. Specifically because Halloween Horror Nights starts all the way in the beginning of September, and it runs through October, through Halloween. And this event is extremely popular amongst the Florida locals. So what will happen is, specifically on the weekends, and then on really any of the dates towards the end of October, the park is gonna be really, really crowded. This event is gonna be really, really crowded. So if you are looking for low crowds and you wanna get as much done within one day, we would say try to come on a weekday and try to come as early on in September as you possibly can. Okay, now from a budget standpoint, remember that you gotta buy your tickets in advance, but also parking. Don't forget that you will have to pay for parking once you get here to the theme parks, even if you're just coming for the nighttime event. And then take it one step closer, be sure to keep an eye on the weather. Now, if you are coming from local, if you're coming from one of the nearby hotels, and you do see that it's gonna rain, maybe go stop and get yourself some ponchos. You don't have to spend money on ponchos when you get here to the park. Same thing if you come in a little bit earlier in the day, sunscreen, sunglasses, right, all that good stuff. Don't forget that if you're visiting in early September, like we just recommended, if you want those low crowds, it's gonna be really, really hot still because you're in Florida, right? So be prepared, make sure you stay hydrated, all that good stuff. All right, so that is it. That is the top 5 things to avoid when visiting Universal Orlando. I hope you all found this video helpful. Here at the Park Prodigy, we are so excited for Halloween season. We are so excited for early September when we can go and hang out in the parks and enjoy Halloween Horror Nights. If you are in the process of planning a Universal Orlando trip and you do need a little additional help, be sure to go check out our website, like I said, theparkprodigy.com. We have a bunch of free vacation planning tools. We have a bunch of free resources that you can take advantage of to be as prepared as possible for your next trip. I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.